Oh, hey there! Before we start today's video, I want to say thank you to Genshin Impact for sponsoring today's video. If you're not already aware, Genshin Impact is a free-to-play cross-platform open-world action RPG that you can experience on PC, PlayStation, or mobile. Now, there have been a lot of changes with recent updates and new features to Genshin Impact, like their new character Rosario, and their character Child is back. Child is one of the most popular 5-star characters in Genshin Impact, and he's returned, so you can utilize his ability to switch from range to melee hydro attacks. With Rosario, she's a 4-star cryo unit who wields pole arms, and 4th Ascension passive boosts party members' crits. If you're gonna buff the party, you're an A+ in my book. You can also take advantage of boosted drop rate weapons like Lost Prayer to the Sacred Winds or Skyward Harp, which can boost movement speed or crit damage respectively and further help tailor towards the way you want to play, which, guys, upping your crit damage in a game is never a bad thing. So, if you're curious about Genshin Impact, click the link in the box down below and enter the code on screen to receive 60 Primogems and 1,000 Mora for new users. And enjoy diving into this fantastically lush world that is known as Genshin Impact. Now, on to today's video. Enjoy! Focus on the journey, not the destination. Yeah, that sentiment's nice and all, but as the completionist, I know this isn't always true. When I'm doing everything in a game, that final completion bonus can save or ruin my experience with the game. And in this top 10, we're gonna focus on the latter because I know what gets the clicks, baby. Now, some things you gotta know first. For this list, I'm considering the completion bonus the final reward you earn in a game, whether it's a culmination of everything you've done or the end of the longest, most difficult task. Second, these are of all time, so while I've completed most of these games, there are some that I haven't had the chance to get to yet, and I'm not looking forward to it either. And as always, these are my opinions. If you disagree with me, let me know what else should be on this list in the comments down below. So without further ado, welcome to my top 10 worst completion bonuses of all time.
Number 10!
Obviously, one of the worst things you can get for completing a game is nothing. But what if completing a game could theoretically change your entire life? That's exactly what Peter Molyneux promised when his studio released Curiosity: What's Inside the Cube in November of 2012. Now, the game was a multiplayer social experiment where players from around the world would break away little cubelets to peel away layers of the cube to finally learn what was inside. All we knew about it was Molyneux's promise that what was inside the cube was life-changingly amazing by any definition. So when someone says that, my immediate thought is, what could it be that was so life-changing? A completely paid-off home? The gift of flight? 1 million copies of Fable? The answer was revealed on May 26, 2013. Brian Henderson of Edinburgh, Scotland, tapped away the final cublet to reveal a video promising that he'd be the sole all-powerful god of Molyneux's new game, Goddess. And he would also receive a small percentage of the revenue brought in by that game. Only problem is, that never happened. Even today, Henderson has seen no money and never heard anything from 22 Cans, the developers of Goddess. The game released in 2013 to lukewarm reception and hadn't made a profit as of 2017. Fortunately, he did eventually get something out of it when Devolver Digital and Roll7 included Henderson as an NPC in their game, Not a Hero. So what this all means is that Curiosity: What's Inside the Cube turned out to be nothing but broken promises. As far as completion goes, the winner, in this case one person, was promised the world, won something pretty cool, and in the end, received nothing from Molyneux. So while this affects ultimately one person who completed a game, this perfectly sets up the tone of this entire list, especially for what I do every given week.
Number 9!
Sometimes, in an attempt at humor, developers will tell players who have done everything to stop playing the game and go outside. Sometimes this works, like in The Lost World Jurassic Park, where they got Jeff Goldblum to talk to you as Ian Malcolm. But more often than not, this fails miserably and just comes across as annoying, like in Gex for the 3DO. Now, before all you Gex fans get real angry, I don't hate the gecko. Dana Gould is very charismatic as the titular character, and his performance is easily one of the highlights of the series. But instead of capitalizing on that, the original Gex abandons him for slower scrolling text over television static. And when I say slow, I mean slow. Each individual sentence takes about 10 seconds to go from the bottom of the screen to the top of the screen. I genuinely have time to read each sentence 3 or 4 times before it's gone. And the jokes aren't even funny. Really? You think that I could have cured cancer in the, I don't know, 10 hours would have taken me to complete this game? This is a kid's game. A kid's game. I think? Maybe not at this point? But the worst part is the music, which you've been hearing throughout this entire section. This track will grate through your eardrums during these insults for over 8 minutes. That's right, this bonus is 8.5 minutes long. And when it mercifully ends and starts to show some concept art, the loop starts all over again. Oh God, put something else on. Oh, much better. Gex on the 3DO is not the hardest game to complete. It's a standard platformer. I can do those in my sleep. But to slowly scroll sarcastic insults over the same music loop repeatedly for almost 10 freaking minutes is more than I can bear. This is the only game I can think of where it feels like the player is punished for completing it. So Gex easily earns its spot on this list.
Number 8.
Fighting games are usually pretty good about rewarding dedicated players with even more characters to play as, but that doesn't mean they always do it well. Take, for example, Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance. Deadly Alliance moved the hellish atmosphere and infamous brutality into 3D. And even though the blood did look more like Sriracha, it was more successful overall. That is, until you unlock mocap. See, mocap stands for motion capture, but with the K because Mortal Kombat. He's a motion capture actor with a vast knowledge of martial arts and fighting styles. And boy does he look like it. The fact of the matter is that mocap looks absolutely ridiculous next to every other character. Here's mocap, here's Scorpion. Who do you think will win in a fight? How about Natara, Reptile, Draman? Hell, even Bo Rai Cho looks tougher, and one of his specials is him puking on the ground. Mocap was made as a tribute to Raiden's original motion capture actor, Carlos Pesina, and I love the sentiment behind that. But even as a gag fighter, and especially in a series known for making the player feel badass with your brutality, when you're up against the likes of Sub-Zero, you're gonna need more than a baseball cap and ping pong balls to make an impact.
Number 7.
You know, I was surprised at just how much I liked Super Paper Mario. Despite not being the RPG of its forefathers, it had incredible characters, a fantastic story, and unique gameplay with the flip mechanics. However, that's just the main story. The post-game is twice as long and half as fun. You'll be spending most of your time in one of the pits of 100 trials. These are long gauntlets that are unbelievably easy, but take forever to do. It turns out when there's a fun game that's all about charming characters and story, it suddenly becomes not fun when they're removed. After a good chunk of time monotonously jumping on enemies' heads, what do I get? Infinite flip time. Now, this is useless because 1, I never need to spend that much time in flip time, and 2, I had already collected everything in the game at this point. This type of thing happens in a lot of games, but there's usually some kind of fun thing behind it. In Spyro 2, I can shoot as many super fireballs as I want with no time limit. I don't need it, but it's fun to cause a little mayhem, you know? Getting unlimited flip time so late in this game is just completely pointless. I mean, come on, Nintendo, give me something fun like a costume or environment change. Literally anything that has some necessary utility. It just stinks there's no flip side to this bad reward.
Number 6.
One of the classic completion bonuses of all time has got to be unlimited ammo. Even if you successfully execute every single mission, it will always be fun to run around and just shoot everything. This seems like something that would be a tailor-made thing for the Grand Theft Auto series, but GTA 4 seemed to disagree. Doing everything in Grand Theft Auto 4 gives you access to purchase infinite ammo. That means you can carry as much ammo as you want, but you have to buy it first. Are you kidding me? In a series that's known for its wackiness and destruction, the most creative thing Rockstar could come up with was, you can buy as many bullets as you want. You should be giving me all the bullets for free, as well as a t-shirt that says, I completed GTA 4, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt. You know, like he did in Vice City. That's what's so mind-boggling about this. Rockstar has already given awesome bonuses in Vice City and San Andreas that also included unlimited ammo. This is absolutely disheartening, especially considering how much time it takes to complete an open-world game. Grand Theft Auto 4 doesn't just have the saddest story in the series, it also has the saddest completion bonus with it. I need to go bowling.
Number 5.
As I mentioned with GTA 4, completing an open world game is a massive undertaking, especially nowadays. These games are meant to last for over 100 hours plus and eat up as much of your time as possible, which is why the completion bonuses usually aren't worth it. The worst modern day offender of this has got to be, in my eyes, Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, Red Dead Redemption 2 is an amazing game that perfectly uses its Western background to paint a truly epic and sad story with so many things to do. You can go on heists, play poker, go fishing, pick flowers, and hunt mythical creatures. That's a lot of game. And all you get for it is a 10-second cutscene that I won't spoil here. Is it emotionally poignant? Yes. Is the song that happens afterwards beautiful? Oh yes. Do I feel like I needed to discover every animal and plant in the game to get this? No. This is the absolute literal opposite of Gex. Instead of a short game with a bonus that's way too long, we have a game that can clock into almost 200 hours with a 10-second reward. Compare this to GTA 5, which gives you an additional mission, a potential to see UFOs, yet another completion t-shirt, and a way to play as Bigfoot. For a Western, this moment is beautiful and simple, but for a game I hope to complete someday, knowing I'm due for disappointment is a real bummer.
Number 4.
Another popular version of the cutscene completion bonus is a teaser for the next game. If the game you played was good, this could have been a fantastic way to build hype for the sequel. Complete the original Kingdom Hearts, and then tell me that you weren't stoked for Kingdom Hearts 2. But more often than not, these teasers are vague, open-ended, and deeply unsatisfying. While the first one of these comes to mind is Jak and Daxter, I personally feel that Crash Bandicoot 4 is much worse considering the journey and road to completion. Crash Bandicoot 4 was one of the most arduous platformers I've ever had to complete, mainly due to those damned platinum time relics and the triple spin. This took well over 100 hours of my personal playtime and physically hurt my hands. But looking back at it now, what hurt the most emotionally was the bonus cutscene. Cortex lays down to get some rest, Uka Uka menacingly returns, and the screen fades to black. I spent all this time, got 106% of the game done, and possibly developed carpal tunnel syndrome just so that I could watch a cutscene teasing something that I probably already knew about. Of course they're gonna bring back Uka Uka. You don't just casually discard a main enemy that never returns. You gotta see the death on screen, my dudes. What really sucks is that there was a much more satisfying cutscene for only getting 100% completion that serves as an epilogue for all the characters. If the game ended there, I would have been unbelievably happy with my experience. Instead, I'm left with a furrowed brow and broken thumbs.
Number 3.
So I went onto the Completionist Patreon Discord and I asked everyone what was their least favorite completion bonus that they experienced or saw. And there was kind of a common thread here I kept seeing. And I gotta say, I totally agree with this one because it's one of my least favorite completion experiences of all time. I, of course, am talking about Hetsu's Gift from Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is an incredible game with a plethora of things to do, but the most frustrating thing is collecting the 900 Korok seeds. These are found by doing basic menial tasks around the entire map. And while initially these will allow you to carry more weapons, bows, and shields, for completion, there are far more than you need to max out your gear. There are 900 of these Korok seeds, which we all know now are just tiny golden poops. This is infuriating and one of my least favorite things I've ever had to do for the show. It takes so many hours just to wander the whole map and find these stupid little puzzles because sometimes you can't even tell if they're a Korok puzzle or just part of the landscape. Not to mention that I did this right when the game came out, so there was little to no help at all online, let alone there was no Korok mask to tell you where anything was. I spent most of my time scouring the internet and chatting with people to figure out exactly where they all were. So what do I get for collecting all these tiny little shits? One big pile of shit, of course. And it does nothing. Gex may have been able to insult me for 8 minutes, but Nintendo did it in a single item. Man, you spent a lot of time playing the game. Here's a golden poop that does nothing. Whether you think Hetsu's Gift is the worst completion bonus ever or a hilarious joke, we all have to agree that it is definitely the crappiest. Just like that pun.
Number 2.
Easily one of the most frustrating things in any game is when you complete them and you either just get a gold star or a screenshot that says, "You did it." And no series does this quite like Pokemon. Ever since Red and Green released in Japan in 1996, catching every Pokemon in the game got you a diploma that says you've caught them all. This was fine for at least the first 151 Pokemon, but it seems useless nowadays as there's almost 900 of them. But the least rewarding experience you got has got to come from Pokemon Emerald. Yes, you only have to capture 386 of them, but there's a good chunk of them that aren't in the game. To get the missing Mons, you're gonna have to play Fire Red or Leaf Green. This was especially daunting since at the time of release, you couldn't transfer Pokemon from the Game Boy game to the Game Boy Advance. That means you have to complete a whole whole other game. But what's even more daunting is the battle frontier. Instead of winning 50 battles in a row at the battle tower in Ruby and Sapphire, you have to earn 7 gold symbols from the battle frontier. These are essentially 7 extra gyms that you have to beat twice. Instead of the usual gym puzzles, they have unique battle experiences that can be unbelievably frustrating. For example, one takes control in a battle away from the trainer and lets the Pokemon choose their own move. Why would I want to do that? I want to actually play the game. These extra challenges took up over half of my completion time last time around, which was well over 200 hours. And what did I get? 2 diplomas and a gold trainer card. Well, that's not enough for me, all right? It's only aesthetic, and barely anyone will ever see it, especially nowadays. While this was remedied in later games with the shiny charm, I will always look back in frustration at that stupid trainer card. God dang it.
Number 1!
Nothing is worse than the feeling of pouring in so many hours for something lackluster. This is a feeling that stings. And this game presented right now is a feeling that hurt me so deep, it made me swear off an entire subgenre of video games. And that game, my friends, is Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, and that bonus, my friends, is nothing. Now, I know we talked about getting nothing at the very first entry of this list, but this hits very differently. I didn't get to see a stranger never get his reward when he was promised the world. I literally spent 1,020 hours playing the most recent version of this game, and I got Bupkis. I got all the characters, I got all their items, I beat all the challenges, I even beat every single one of the so-called reward maps. I even got all the golden medals, but I never received a reward for working my ass off to do everything in this game. Now look, Hyrule Warriors may constantly reward you as you play, but it all feels like it's supposed to build something. Every map, every mission, every medal, everything completed receives check marks and medals as you work through the game. It tricks you into believing that there is some type of grand reward waiting for you at the end, but there isn't one. It dangles a carrot in front of your face the whole time, and right when you're in its reach, it eats it right in front of you. If the process is fun, I'm okay with no completion bonus. But when a game is as arduous as this, it actually made me hate the game I started off enjoying. And that is why Hyrule Warriors has one of the worst completion bonuses of all time. And so that was my list of my top 10 worst completion bonuses. Have you ever had a game that basically kicked you in the nuts after doing everything? Let me know in the comments down below. Hey, and don't forget, this year we're celebrating 10 years of the show. So in case you didn't know, we've got 5 brand new shirts waiting for you to buy. If you buy all 5, you get 1 free. And if you want some really cool artwork, we have the Completionist zine. Both of these sets of items are very limited and will ship very, very soon. The zine ships in July and June, but the shirts ship right away. So get them while we got them. Pre-order the zine, buy some shirts. Thank you all very much. And remember, see you all next time.